Hello, friends. How are you today? Well, I thought that we could chat about the wave patterns that have been on the chart since the enormous wave in the resonances a few days ago. Because I've really been thinking a lot about this and doing a bunch of research. And I thought that I would share my conclusions and they might be super interesting for you. The first thing is that, that I wanted to mention was these extraordinary number of vertical lines that you see in the chart. It's not something that, it's really just been the last few weeks that this has been a thing to this extent. So it's unusual. And I have been wondering if this relates at all to the solar flares that we've been having, because we've been having an extraordinary number of solar flares. I put together this table of data, and here's 2022. So you can see that through the end of Friday, May 13th, there were 61 M-class and 6 X-class. So I just have been wondering, because the number of vertical lines from 0 to 40 hertz has been extraordinary. And I've just been wondering, the other extraordinary thing that's been happening is these solar flares. So I just thought that I would bring up, I wonder if there's a relationship, because, when there's an ejection from the sun, when there's a coronal mass ejection, you can see in my beginner video what the heck is it, the Schumann Resonance. At the end of that very short video, I have a NASA video that shows how a CME does cause the Earth's electromagnetic field to flex. And since the resonances reside within the electromagnetics of the space between the surface of the planet and the top of the atmosphere, I wonder if there's an effect. So I thought I'd share that with you, and I thought that was pretty interesting. The other thing that's been going on, because these have come in patterns, right? Periodic patterns. So I wanted to bring you back to the day of this incredible wave and talk a little bit about tracking the wave. So in researching over the recent years, the Schumann resonance, one of the things that I've learned is that the Schumann waves, they're extremely low frequency waves. ELF waves is what they're called. And so they're very long. The wave itself has a very long form, like when it rises up into a hill, like a bell curve, it rises up into a hill and then it comes down. So these are very long. And what I've read is that they can go around the planet like 2 or 3 times. I've mentioned this before. But what I was wondering is if they can go around more than that based on certain factors. And what caused me to start thinking about this was we had this wave here on May 7th, and then clearly there was another flush of the white resonance on the 8th, and then again on the 9th. And when you look at this, what I think may be happening is that the Schumann is coming around again. It's coming around again. And in other words, this wave was I think the amplitudes was in the high 70s of the white resonance here. And it was extraordinary because it was so many hours and such a, full whiteout in the lower part of the Hertz range. So what I'm wondering is if this wave came out, came back around, and then let's go to the next set of days. Now the next day, it's interesting because the next day there wasn't any white except for this right here, okay? But then it came back around, and then there wasn't any white, but there was the vertical lines in the yellow, this new yellow line, right? And then the last 2 days, this yellow line has been kind of prominent. So this is what I was wondering. We know the resonances can go around 2 or 3 times. Now here's the thoughts that I was having. So what if what if they tapered off, but with a lower amplitude, we're still there, but we just couldn't see them as well, or we could see them in this part of the chart for some reason. And then something happens the next day and they're going around again, and maybe something happens to the qualities of the resonances or a particular one, or something happens, or the amplitude spikes slightly, or something happens with the frequencies, and then they show up again. I was talking to my friend Alex about this. What she was saying is, it's like the possibility is that the energy interacts with humanity, right? And as it's going around the planet, do we change the wave, or as we're experiencing this incredible energy, right? And it settles in over a couple or few days, then do we have reactions that then show on the chart as a reflection, a little bit of that wave coming back? So I thought that was fascinating and awesome. And I also was thinking maybe something else that could happen here is that the wave kind of narrows into a range of hertz. So when the wave is, broadly covering a wide range of hertz, it looks like this. But then as it narrows, right, it looks more like this or like this. And in the narrowing, perhaps the peaks of the wave change so that it doesn't show up as long, or it contracts to the levels of hertz that it's that are part of the wave. Because when you see this wave here, you can think of it as being many waves together, right? Because the shape of the wave is slightly different depending on what the hertz level is. And a good way to look at that is to look at the different waves of brain waves. Alpha brain waves look very different from gamma brain waves, or the shape of beta brain waves, or theta brain waves, or delta. And so when you add that all together, right, and you have sort of an average wave, well, as frequencies drop off, the shape of the wave that represents this pattern coming around again probably shifts and changes and maybe narrows and focuses. So I think that could be possibly another effect, and then maybe here, right, it's tapered off, but humanity's interacting with it, and then maybe we get all these insights, like within this hertz range here, and the next day, like when the energy comes back around, or maybe the wave lengthens, and so now as it kind of it shifts its focal range, right, or it's the frequencies with that it's in. Maybe instead of coming around every day, it comes around so here it is, skips a day, and then a similar pattern again. Maybe now it's lengthening and it's only coming around every 2 days. So these are the things that I was thinking about, and I just wanted to share them with you because I thought they were really fascinating. And of course, there's a whole science around this, but I just thought that I would share that with you because it's interesting to see it on the chart. And it's interesting to talk about this aspect. And the thing I like best about it is this idea of how are humans maybe engaging with this energy, and does it sit with us? Does it stay with us? And if so, where does it settle relative to the hertz ranges of human brainwaves? Like here, it's settling between our unconscious up here and our observational alpha waves right here. And that would definitely change the shape of the wave when it moves out of beta. And then maybe here, maybe the amplitudes were off so it couldn't show. Like, for example, how I mentioned in a recent video, if there's a fan on your desk that's off, you can still see the fan, but the energy is not pouring through. The amplitude is very low. It might be even be zero if it's unplugged from the wall. So what does this mean, for you? On a personal level, for our personal energy fields, I think that it can take time for us. Once we experience a large wave of energy, it can take time for that to settle into our human energy system, and then what do we do with that, and how does that get reflected back out in the world? Is there like a give and take between the broader human consciousness and us as individuals? And then we're receiving and we're contributing, or receiving, contributing. It's a really interesting idea. With a lot of discussions of energies, for example, around full moons and new moons, there's always a discussion about that it lasts for 3 days, and it's interesting because here we've got 3 days, then we've got a pause, okay, parent pause, and then we've got a change in the behavior. So I don't know if that is a similar effect, but it looks like it here in the chart, that the energy clearly lasted 3 days in some form or another. And some of us experience these things ahead of time. And right now it's Friday. We have the full moon and the lunar eclipse coming on Sunday night. And I know that as soon as yesterday came around in the afternoon or evening, I had a complete shift in my energy, and I thought, this is about the full moon that's coming and what the energies are like. And it's so interesting. I found myself really turning inward. And I had this feeling to do things early, to the extent that's possible. And the other thing that happened is there were sudden shifts in my schedule. That was really interesting. So how is the energy playing out for you? If you like, you can comment below and share. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear what is going on with you guys. We've started the Human Energy Class 2. I haven't yet put together the second round of the Beginner Energy class. So it took me a little longer with how things rolled out to do the second class again, but I will be doing that. And it's exciting, and it's an exciting time.